By now, many of you have probably been made aware of the statements that Trump has said as it pertains to how they're trying to handle slavery at the Smithsonian. And this right here is the post that pretty much set it all off. And I'm going to go over the post itself, and then I'm going to go into the article that was written up surrounding the post and this individual by the name of Lindsay Halligan and who she is. So he says the museums throughout Washington's but all over the country are essentially the last remaining segment of woke, and he puts that in all caps. The Smithsonian is out of control, which he also puts in all caps, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We are not going to allow this to happen, and I've instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with colleges and universities where tremendous programs have been made. This country cannot be woke because woke is broke. We have the quote hottest country in the world, and we want people to talk about it, including our museums. This just reads as a whole I'm white and I say so narrative. Like that just could be summarized in this, because slavery holds up a veneer of how this establishment was. They want to evade it or get rid of it, and they don't like us talking about it. I mean, think about it. Every time slavery comes up, they always like to pinpoint and say, oh, stop living in the past. That was so long ago and all this and the third. But we have to talk about everybody else's atrocities. And if we don't talk about it, we're anti this and we're anti that. And also look at how this is written when he says the segment of woke out of control, woke is broke, and we have the hottest country. This is written up like it is not even said by a person who was a sitting president. It's written as if it was typed up by some high schooler. That's what it sounds like, especially when he says the part about having the hottest country in the world. Like, what are you trying to say? And because notice he put that in quotation. So what is he trying to say? Are you trying to talk about like the hottest takes, or are we talking about looking as far as people go? Again, it doesn't sound like it came from the mouth or the mind of a, say, 20-year-old. I mean, not 20 of a president. It sounds like it came from someone who was still trying to mature. But like I've always say, age does not define maturity. They just want to get rid. They basically want to hide the truth of what this establishment actually is and what it was founded on. And it's crazy because you can take all of that stuff out of the museums as you want, but it's not like, one, people don't already know the history, and two, if they don't know, it's not like they can just go elsewhere and properly research it. But you know, they'll probably start trying to regulate that too. But this is also the same guy that said, and what was it, in Ohio, that they're eating the dogs and eating the cats. This is also the same guy that said that white South Africans have to flee down there because they're being attacked. And now the current guy that's saying that DC's a war zone. I can only imagine what he's going to say next. But I just wanted to go over briefly this post before actually getting into the main article itself. Now let's get into the article itself. Now, in case y'all don't know who this woman is, this is Lindsay Halligan. She's an official over the White House, and she's the one that's leading the review of the Smithsonian in the museum. Now, for those who don't know, the Smithsonian in DC, it's basically a corporation, but it owns various different things. It's not just one location. And of course, the Smithsonian is known for anything historic or museum based, like the Air and Space Museum, of course, the Black American Museum. They are contracted with working with as a matter of fact, I think the zoo is a part of the Smithsonian as well. So the Smithsonian has a lot of hands into different things in DC, probably outside of DC, but definitely more so definitely in DC. And she's the one that's responsible for doing this review of all the stuff that Trump wants reviewed and most likely excavated outside of the museum. Now, the article I'm reading from is Newsweek. Now, listen to the title of it. This is the title of the article. White House says slavery is being taught wrong. Should not be so negative. That is the title. I kid you not. That is the title of the article. Dated August 21st, 2025. Lindsay Halligan The White House official leading a review of the Smithsonian Institution said, "You can't really talk about slavery honestly unless you talk about hope in progress," during a Newsmax appearance on Wednesday. Newsweek contacted the Smithsonian Institution for comment on Thursday via email outside of regular hours. On August 12th, Halligan wrote to Smithsonian Secretary Lonnie Bunch, saying the White House would lead a comprehensive internal review of selected Smithsonian museums and exhibitions. Gee, I wonder which ones they selected. On his Truth Social website, President Donald Trump described the Smithsonian as out of control and said museums across the United States are woke. Critics have accused the White House of political interference in pushing a sanitized version of history, while supporters claim the Smithsonian fails to achieve political balance, aka tell the part that makes me feel comfortable and leave out the one that makes me uncomfortable. Speaking to Newsmax, Halligan said she had written this to the Smithsonian asking for details about its exhibits to try and find where the museum group went wrong, adding, "Museums that are over 70% funded by the federal government shouldn't be laboratories for political experiments." Referring to slavery, Halligan added, "It's not about whitewashing," and she's lying, it is. It's about full context. So while slavery is obviously a horrible aspect of our nation's history, you can't really talk about slavery honestly unless you also talk about hope and progress. And I think we need to be focusing on the progress that we've made, and then we need to stop focusing so much on the lack of progress. In other words, again, say the things that make me feel comfortable as a white person and not what would make me feel uncomfortable as a white person. Again, because remember, the sun has to rise and set on them. That's really all it boils down to. She goes on to say, "We need to keep moving forward as a country. Our 250th anniversary as a country is coming up next July, and we're hoping the Smithsonian in DC is beautiful and amazing and a place that all Americans want to come visit during that time." You know, her saying that actually just a light bulb moment just happened for me. Notice she said that our 250th anniversary as a country is coming up next July. What are they currently doing right now in DC? Quote unquote, cleansing it to make it look clean for when the tourists want to come, if they even want to come, because I bet you them tourist numbers are probably down right now. By the time of the country's 250th anniversary, let's make it look pristine and clean by the time they get here or people come here next year. And also keep in mind, next year is the World Cup, and the North America is hosting it. It's in various countries. I don't think it's I said various countries, in various states, and even between Mexico and Canada. I don't think they're going to have anything in the DMV area because they typically wouldn't have something like that there, but it's going to be spread out. So they're trying to make it look very, very pretty. I think Lindsay slipped up when she said that because, yeah, now it's all making sense. Honestly, it already made sense to me, but for those who are late on the uptake, I hope you're picking up what's being thrown down. Halligan wrote to Smithsonian Secretary Bunch on August 12th saying that she would lead a, quote, comprehensive internal review of selected Smithsonian museums and exhibitions. According to the letter, the first phase of the review will focus on the following museums: the National Museum of American History, the National Museum of Natural History, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, National Museum of the American Indian, National Air and Space Museum, Smithsonian American Art Museum, National Portrait Gallery, and Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden. Notice which one is not there. It said additional museums could be included later as part of a second phase of the review. In a statement sent to the Newsweek, the Smithsonian said the Smithsonian's work is grounded in a deep commitment to scholarly excellence, rigorous research, and the accurate and factual presentation of history. That is just one big contradiction because they are not going to have anything accurate there. This is them trying to rewrite, not rewrite, rewrite history. It says, we are reviewing the letter with this commitment in mind and will continue to collaborate constructively with the White House, Congress, and our governing board of regents. On August 14th, Mary Trump, the president's estranged niece, highlighted his pressure on the Smithsonian Institute as an example of the, quote, unique threat she believes he poses to the future of the U.S. The removal of an exhibition covering Trump's 2 impeachment bids from the Smithsonian National Museum of American History recently sparked backlash. Lindsay Halligan said on Newsmax, classrooms shouldn't be stages upon which teachers can preach their various indoctrination masquerading as eternal truths, and similarly, museums that are over 70% funded by the federal government shouldn't be laboratories for political experiments. Going back to that part when she says where teachers can't preach their various indoctrination, the same could be said about them. And what we're doing is we just sent a letter to the Smithsonian asking for more information regarding their exhibits, their placards, to try to get to the bottom of what happened and where the Smithsonian went wrong, and try to make the Smithsonian amazing and great and live up to what the president wants the Smithsonian in DC to be. Sarah Wetzel, the executive director of the American Historical Association, told Newsweek via email, the Smithsonian has an international reputation for the integrity of its research and scholarship, and its trusted resource to which teachers turn for high quality educational content. Partisan political intervention into museum professionals' work stands to erode public trust. The public must have access to a whole and complex history of the American past, not the sanitized and incomplete version preferred by the current administration. It remains to be seen what changes the Smithsonian Institution will make in response to criticism from the White House, and what the reaction to these will be from the broader artistic and historical communities. Oh, I already know people are going to push back against it, or they're not just going to go, and the museums are going to lose money at the end of the day. That's probably going to be the 2 things that's going to happen. People are either going to protest against it, or they're just not going to go, thus making the museums lose money. Either way, I think that's what the current administration wants to happen. No matter which one I gave as an option, they are fine with either one. Talk about wanting chaos. But yeah, like I said, this is nothing more than I'm white and I say so. My feelings are hurt, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flex my power, and I'm going to say this can't be here, this can't be here, but if this happens to be here, we're going to say it went down like this. Like literally, y'all are watching them rewrite history in real time. Usually you just hear about what happened, but now you're actually seeing it happen in your face in real time. This is what's happening right now at this very moment, and you cannot deny it. Of course, you know the people over there in Magaville, they'll deny it from here to hell, but that's them. Those of us with common sense know exactly what they're doing, because again, noticing in what Trump said on Truth Social, he specifically mentioned slavery and talking about how bad slavery was. But remember, this is also the same guy that said that slaves were the ones that built the White House, and you had so many people, a lot of black people get so excited when he said that and say, well, Trump, he did say that black people built the slavery, but now, fast forward to now, he's talking about, oh, we need to scale back on it. So that means that what he said back then don't mean nothing, because if he takes it out of these museums, if it's there, which it probably is, then what he said back then don't mean a thing. I keep telling y'all, these are politicians. They will say one thing here and then say another thing here. And then what they do is they space it out so you'll forget. It'll insert things that happen, or a lot of things that happen in between, to make you forget. And then by the time they do this, then it's like, wait a minute, he did actually say that? Yes, he did. I don't trust none of them. As far as I'm concerned, like I've always said, 2 wings attached to the same buzzard. They may have different talking points, but at the end of the day, especially when it comes to black people, black Americans in particular, they all are on the same wavelength. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one.